y'all didn't expect to see that face, did you? Nick's not here today. Brian's in the other room. It's the Double Mats. Roll the tape, Jesse. You know, one of the weirdest things about doing this, the few times I get to do it, is for some reason I was the MC of this thing when it started. And every time I have to do this, I'm like, why was that ever the choice that was made? I have no idea. Anyways, Nick is off today at some amazing mastermind that I'm sure he's going to come back and rip through a bunch of stuff today. And Brian has got some other things going on. So we actually have the long-awaited guest who has been trying to get on the show for a little bit, promised to be on the show, had so much to offer to the show and was never on it. And he finally came into town, and I'm super excited to have you on today, brother. But before we do that, we're going to rip through sponsors real quick because your boy doesn't do these very often. So we're just going to hit them real fast. Michael DeBacker, mortgagemicatexas.com, mgmloans.com. Amazing dude, working with a buyer of mine that I got off of Instagram recently, helping her figure out some credit stuff before she goes on the market. Really amazing lender. You guys should definitely reach out to him. Love you, Mike. See you later. Oh yeah, fucking Darren. This actually is one of the best things about this is Matt just told me that he's the originator of the hard shell protection. He told Nick that today. Dude, I had no idea where that came from, but Darren Smith for all your home warranty needs, armadillo.1/tour. Homeward Property Management. I want to throw a shout out to Brian Murray and Agents on the Good Home team real quick, because I am the one who deals with all of the incoming leads from Homeward Property Management, and that dude is constantly throwing stuff out there for us, connected us with 2 more people and a potential 3rd one today. You know, we pay referrals to agents. We honestly, our business has grown off agent referrals. So if you do have somebody who's looking for property management, renting their home, definitely reach out to me, Dana, anybody on the podcast about Homeward Property Management, homewarddfw.com. And Tour Studios, dude. Jesse has been producing video for the podcast and me personally for years. I've traveled to New York with him. I've traveled to Vermont with him. I've watched him take we were watching a video, our 97th podcast before this, and talking about how terrible the lighting was in the camera, and being able to watch what this dude has put together and been able to do with the very, very little talent he has on camera has been pretty awesome. And there are a lot of people who are realizing that. He's got multiple, and when I mean multiple, like quite a few people under under Tour Studios right now, doing lots of cool stuff. I'm seeing our studio everywhere. So if you're looking for a one-off video, if you're looking to do webinars, if you're looking to do anything, Jesse at tourstudios.com is who you want to talk to. That's it. That's all we got for those. I am super excited because we had somebody come into town who I've been friends with for a long time, and like a few of my real estate homies I've never gotten to meet in person. And I realized that as I was talking to my wife before the show today, that this was another person that I haven't gotten to meet in person. So for those of you in social media circles, you probably know him, but Maddie Aguirre, what up, my man?
Also known as Maddie A.
Maddie A, that's affectionately
awesome.
Known on the show.
Yeah, it's awesome to be here, man. I appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah, dude, thank you, man. Like I cannot pinpoint the exact space where you and I interacted for the first time. I don't know if it was in a referral group because I used to be really heavy in those. I don't know if it was on social media or something about it, but when I really became impressed with what you were doing, right? We're all real estate agents. We all post bullshit online and there's a lot of stuff going on, but like when I started seeing the stuff that you were doing on YouTube, and then consequently how it led you to like have a really, really amazing life and spend time with your family, I became even more intrigued. Like the stuff that you've done on social media and video wise for a long time has been really impressive, man. And I'm super glad to finally get to see you.
Yeah, I'm glad to finally get to see you.
What are you doing in town? What are you doing here?
I was with Wayne Solomons, last week's guest, Hero Nation. I'm one of his coaches now, and we did a training class, lead, train, and retain. So we did that for the last 2 days, and I'm stuck around so I can be on the show. I know. Yeah. I text today because I had to go get a driver's license renewal because I'm traveling out of town, and I was like, "Are you staying just for the show?" He's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm staying just for the show. I'm definitely going to be there." The stuff you did just for the show,
dude. The stuff you did with Wayne, and if you didn't check out last week's episode, what was it? 224 last week. 224 last week, dude. Wayne is always, he's such a kind, gentle soul. If people don't know this about Wayne, if you ever saw the clip of David Goggins going around standing on the dugout of a baseball field that I believe was Arlington Stadium here in Dallas, I don't know.
I think so.
Wayne had went to, and I hope he's okay with me sharing this. He shared it on his page, so I'm sure he would be. And there's a gentleman who asked a question in the crowd, and this gentleman had just went through a pretty life-altering thing, and he's asking about a divorce, right?
Right.
His wife had just told him that she wanted a divorce, and he literally stands up in front of all these other people and asks David Goggins this question, and it went viral. Like, I mean, millions of views on different platforms. Like, it was crazy. And here was what, and I didn't know that was Wayne when I saw it, because you in most of the clips you can't even see him. You just see Goggins' response, because that was how it got out. That dude is so authentically himself, and everybody who knew him from his times in Alaska to now, I have never heard anybody say anything other than Wayne is authentically himself.
Oh, absolutely.
All of the time.
All the time. And that guy has so much energy. That's one of the great things. Like, I love coming back up here because you can't create energy.
Yeah.
Right? It can only be transferred. And so anytime I come up and I do trainings with Wayne, whether it's at his house or, the Airbnb that we were at, I walk away just so energized and ready to go conquer the world after that when I go home.
He's super amped. He talked a little bit last week, and I won't be able to quote him. Maybe I'll be able to go back and find the clip and dub it in with this. But like, he was just talking about his energy and what that's like. And I honestly, I very luckily, I always thought Wayne kind of knew who I was through Nick and Brian, right? I always felt like he knew who I was through those guys, but didn't really know anything about me. And we had a chance opportunity that was pretty personal and intimate in McKinney, where his old office used to be, around the time when he was going through a lot of stuff. And we went to lunch, and it was just one of the coolest experiences for me, because I really crave relationships with men that feel paternal, right? Like, I don't have that in my life. Like, I didn't grow up with like a super strong male influence at all. So for me, I love having relationships with people, even if they're not that much older than me, that feel very fatherly. It makes me feel comforted. I've never had somebody to go to who's like, hey, what are you supposed to do when you date girls? What are you supposed to do when everybody's counting on you and you can't get through stuff? You know what I mean? Wayne instantly felt like that kind of guy to me, like the type of dude I could bring kind of like what would be considered weakness in public to another man and be like, dude, how do you deal with this? And interacting with him at that intersection of his life where he was going through stuff, where he was really vulnerable, was so amazing, because he was still so put together in those moments. And I left last week's episode regretting not saying that to him. And so I'm curious, because that's how I got to really know and love Wayne. I'm curious, like, now that you're coaching with him, you get to see him and do all these things. How did you become a part of his world and what he's doing?
So it started kind of where you and I started, like, on the show, because I would comment on the show and whatnot. And then we became friends on Facebook. We set up a Zoom meeting. We talked about Sphere Rocket. Yeah. So I went and got a VA from Sphere Rocket. And then I went to the Sphere Rocket Nashville event back in February 22. Yep. And Wayne was on the stage. And then I saw him again a few months later at Sphere Rocket Dallas. And we were both in, God, I don't remember the name of it. I was one of the OGs of like this mastermind, this launch group or whatever was Sphere Rocket, and Wayne was in it. And we were friends on Facebook and everything, and we'd interact a little bit. And then we'll get into that when we were overseas. Yeah. He made a post about travel, and I was like, hey, what's up with this? And contacted him, and we started talking more, and I'd let him know. I was like, man, coaching's in my future, whenever we get back. And he would be putting on this coaches training. And we got back in the end of July, and then like August, September, he put out, we're doing one in October. And I'm like, I'm there. Yeah, I'm there. So finally I'd met him in person before, but we had this coaches training at his house for 2 days, very deep and very intense. And so that's how we connected. And so we've seen each other, several times between now and then. And what you see on the show is what you see like at dinner also. Yeah. Just, it's just the two of you just hanging out, whatnot. Maybe a little bit more low key because we're just hanging out and, maybe watching Joe Coy or something like that on Netflix. Yeah. But yeah, he's just, God, I love being around that guy.
He's super cool. Yeah. And it's one of the great things about this industry that I think is probably one of the things that I don't sit back and I'm not grateful enough for is the amount of high level thinkers I get to interact with. There's something about entrepreneurship and the coaching and business that comes around it and the thought process that after you've broken through that crust of just trying to figure out if you can even do this at all, and you start having time to look around at some of the other people who made it through, right? Because there's so many people who just get taken out in that first gauntlet that eventually, after you've been doing the real estate side of things for a couple of years, or probably any business venture in any industry, you see who stood the test of time. You're like, oh, I've seen Joe's name a bunch. I've seen Wayne's name a bunch. I've seen Matt's name a bunch. They're still around. I've seen them for a while. And you start realizing how difficult it was that was to do.
Oh, yeah.
And then you start finding them in these spaces at Masterminds, or you get to interact with them, and you start realizing that we're in an industry that has so many amazing minds, not just around real estate, but that come from other stuff.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely.
And they come from backgrounds of marketing or whatever. Like, you have a law enforcement background. I was a bartender. You know what I mean? Like,
I was in nightclub management before.
Yeah. So it's like, there's just people who come into this from all kinds of spaces. And that's, if real estate agents could learn anything from some longevity in real estate, put yourself in rooms with some of these people. Like, show up to Masterminds. Don't go to endless trainings for the sake of not doing work. But when you have an opportunity to be in a room with somebody who's the next level above you, go every time.
Yeah.
Even
if they're 10 levels above you.
Definitely. If you get, dude, do you want to talk about that a little bit? Like, what room were you in today? I don't know if it was 10 levels, but I mean, you were in a pretty badass room today. Not even talking to the people so much as I'm just curious about when there's an opportunity for anyone to sit in and talk to people who are really high level. They're so it's such a welcoming conversation. And I think that's kind of where I wanted you to go with that.
I can't really talk about it too much.
Sure.
So,
I just want to talk about more about what's learned when you're around people who are so much more than what you think you can be.
Yeah.
Because that's what I feel like coaching is.
Yeah. And
right?
those people pour into you too. So
even more so sometimes.
I can't really say anything about it. Signed an NDA, but
I like that.
It was a room full of people that have been in the business a long time or a business a long time and, do that business at a high level. But it's just, I wanted to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
Wayne's like, hey, come hang out for a little bit. I just want to be a fly on the wall. And then after like 10 minutes, they're like, no, you belong over here. You need to come over here. And I was like, wow, thanks.
Well, and that's kind of where I was going with that, was the coaching aspect of it. Like, whether it's, I did a lot of high level coaching for a long time and spent a lot of money on it. And it absolutely changed every bit of my life. And I think, I don't know, I'll be candid. I don't have any idea what Wayne's fees are, what coaching fees are to be a part of Hero Nation. But I know that I've spent upwards of $3,000-$4,000 a month for a year at a time to be coached by one individual a couple of times a week. Yeah. And I felt like that was absolutely worth it. And that's what coaching, I think, does for high level business people. It allows them to get into bigger rooms. Yeah. And maybe you pay to play at first. And I don't know how that got such a bad connotation, but I think it's an amazing thing for people, especially entrepreneurs with the next level in mind and the financial means to look at, because it works out almost every time.
Look at it this way. So Michael Phelps, right? Greatest swimmer of all time. Did he do that on his own?
Of course not.
Even whenever he was at the top of his game, did he do it on his own?
No.
He had a coach. Who else? I mean, it's anybody. You take anybody like that. Michael Phelps. You take Carl Lewis. We're going to go back to the 80s.
Sure,
we're about the same age. They all had coaches, right? Top of their game. And even NFL players. Yeah, they've got their coaches on the field, but they're going to have individual coaches and whatnot too. You don't know it all.
Yeah,
that's the thing. And a lot of people, they're what do you call it? I can't think of it. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And some people just get stuck. They need some accountability. They need a little bit of help. They want to scale their business, grow their business, start a business, and go to somebody who's been there before, who's helped people do that before. I mean, say a coach costs $1,000 a month, right? For one-on-one coaching. What's that $12,000 in that year going to get you? What's the return on it? If they're able to teach you or help you teach yourself, some tactics and whatnot for lead generation or follow-up or, just getting out of your own head and out of your own way.
That's the biggest thing.
That's going to bring you, 5 times that amount of money. Then if I were to going to give you, say, hey, I'll give you $80,000, you give me $12,000 though. Would that be worth it?
Oh, people would do that all day long.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. So people don't always look at it like that. But
they don't always see the level of commitment it takes to. I've definitely wasted money on coaching and been able to look back and be like, yeah, but did you show up? Did you really try to do it? Right.
Yes.
And I think that's why the higher level coaching works. so much better than when, for instance, we'll talk about productivity coaching at certain brokerages, right? And there's multiple brokerages that offer this. I've done it before. I'll coach you, and then when you close something, you pay me back.
Right.
You know how often coaches get paid in those scenarios? Like never, right? Like it's a very low percentage of people who are making that work because one, it requires the other person's level of commitment to be, it requires the other person's level of accountability to be fairly minimal.
Absolutely.
Because they get free coaching, right? Whether they use it or not. And if they just decide to say, hey, coaching didn't work or real estate doesn't work for me, you're out all of that time and effort, right?
Yeah.
It seems like, and I know in my life, the coaching that I've paid for up front and been committed to has been a higher level of seriousness on my own part, a higher level of dedication on my part, higher level of accountability by the other person. Shocking, paying them up front actually makes them invested in you more.
Oh yeah.
Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I love that type of coaching so much more than I like the, hey, just, pay me when you close a deal, because there's just so little that comes from it. And then you're like, coaching sucks. And that's not the case at all.
Is it the coaching that sucked, or did you not follow through? Were you not accountable to yourself?
Definitely.
Did you not go and do the things you said you were going to do, the goals you set? Like, oh, I want 5 appointments next week, and you only hit 3, or maybe you hit none. What were you doing? What happened?
Yeah.
So the coach is only going to be as good as the person that they're coaching and their follow-up, their follow-through, and their commitment to themselves.
I like one of the things that you do, and for you, I think with all coaches, there has to be a credibility in doing it. Like nobody wants to hire the real estate coach who's never sold real estate, right? Like it makes no sense. And one of the things that you've done that I think a lot of people would be very interested in, because I know for myself, like agents don't want to cold call. They don't want to door knock. They don't want to do open houses. They don't want to do all these. They got a laundry list of things they don't want to do. And for some reason, video ends up on the list of things they will do, even though it's kind of weirdly more terrifying than some of those other things, right?
Yeah. Even they don't want to do it.
But they still may not. But you managed to build a business around being the infotainment guy, the informative guy of New Braunfels, that allowed you to do what I think to be kind of the coolest thing any adult gets to do, which is take a year away with your family to go travel the world. So I'd love, because I think for you, I think for people, it's really important for them to hear how you have been able to manage this and do this, and why you're a credible resource.
Right.
You came into my world through YouTube and through video. How did that all start for you, and how did it tie into real estate? How did all that work?
So I left my law enforcement career back in 2018, and I was already doing real estate. I'd been doing it for about a year and a half. So I was pretty busy back in 2016 to 2018, 2016, I started my MBA. 15, I finished my bachelor's. 16, like I went right into a master's program to get my MBA. And then between semesters, a friend of mine's like, hey, you need to get into real estate. So I went, got my real estate license. I'm working as a police officer. I'm getting my MBA, got my real estate license. I didn't know how to slow down. And then I left in 18, right before my wife and I got married, left law enforcement and did the real estate full time. But it's like, I woke up that Monday and I'm like, man, how do I do this full time? I don't even know. Because the brokerage I was at, they didn't teach you.
Yeah.
And, so I had to go and figure it out a little bit, struggled a little bit for the first couple of years, and then COVID happens and we're in, our lockdowns and whatnot. And I was actually listening to a podcast, and these 2 guys that were out of Portland, Oregon, they were talking about YouTube. And I'm like, what? YouTube? I went and I listened to that thing like 4 or 5 times. I remember driving around and listening to it and going to dropping off the kids and whatnot. And I'm like, man, I need to start a YouTube channel doing what these guys were doing. And so I did. We're in lockdown. People were doing nothing but sitting at home and consuming content.
Yep.
And so I started a YouTube channel. I put my first video out in May. I got a reach out in June. I closed them in August, and it just started to snowball from there. And so I don't like to cold call, and it feels inauthentic to me to reach out to my sphere. And I mean, there's ways that I could do it. I'm sure. I know there's ways that I can do it that feel more authentic, that would be more authentic, but I'm not going to call them up. It's just so awkward to say, hey, I know I haven't talked to you in 4 years. We used to work together at Walmart in the pharmacy, but do you know anybody who wants to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? That's not me.
Yeah.
That's why I sucked at Advocare and any kind of multi-level marketing. It's like, whatever. So I started that YouTube channel, and it just started picking up.
Yeah.
It was insane. And all I talked about was what it's like to live, play, and work in New Braunfels, Texas. And I would do some others, like some of my most popular ones is I would just put the GoPro on the dashboard or on the windshield, pointing it out. And in New Braunfels, I would just drive around. I tried to hit all the major areas. And, I'd be like, oh, we're in the, 400 block of South Seguin Avenue. Over here is a, Civic Center, and over here is this. And, hey, we have a roundabout. Do you know how to drive a roundabout? This is how you do it. And so I taught them how to do a roundabout. And some people called me up and like, we wouldn't have known how to do it if we didn't watch your video. That's one of the most popular ones. I'm just driving around talking about New Braunfels because the city used to pay me, good money to drive around aimlessly for 10 to 12 hours a night or a day, So that's kind of like my unique value proposition when it comes to, hey, why use Matt? I know the city better than, almost all agents.
You got your 10,000 hours of.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
That's
exactly.
great.
So, it's like, hey, do you know the traffic patterns at this time of the day, this time of the year, and this time of the day? What's it going to be like over here, over there? So, I can tell people that. But yeah, I know that city like the back of my hand.
We talked about that a long time on this show, and it's been suggested in every real estate, social media course anybody's ever taken is become the mayor of your town. And this is what it looks like. And here's the really cool thing. There's like 15 mayors of every one of these places, right? Like you're going to attract your people in. You're a really great consumer of information. You said something at the beginning of that. If you saw some dudes doing a video and you watched it like 4 or 5 times and then like took it on and just started doing that. You were telling us a little bit when we were talking at lunch about some of the podcast episodes too. I've found that when I run into somebody who's got a really great word or a really great idea, those things stick and they're much, much more actionable. And I think that's what real estate agents need to take away from what you're saying is like, you didn't do anything super unique. You put something on the dashboard of your car, which honestly, he spent 10 or 12 hours driving around there in a previous job. You could replicate that with like literally a Google search of that zip code before you go in the car.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's not hard to do. And I still think content like that would get you enough viewers to get you business. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's that one video. The rest of them were kind of like talking head videos. Some I would walk around and talk and, vlogging and whatnot. But I mean, most of the time I'm just sitting there, a lot, before I would do a green screen in the background and we throw up other stuff. And I mean, I just talk about the cost of living, the pros and cons of living there, why I love it, why I hate it, things to do. Some of the most popular ones too, is we have 2 recreational rivers. So I'm like, hey, here's the rules you need to know before you go floating down the river. That's huge. It's not going to give me, clients necessarily because people that are watching that one, but it gets me views. It gets me higher average view duration, with all these analytics and everything when it comes to YouTube, that YouTube likes. And so YouTube's going to keep
showing your stuff,
recommending my channel, my videos. But yeah, so, started doing that. And I mean, business just took off, like quadrupled from one year to the next. And I'm like, God dang, what do I do with all this?
How did you, that you just asked the question, I'll ask it back to you. What did you do with all that? Like once it started going and then now it's, because that's one of the things, right? I mean, when business starts rolling really hard, you're like, how do I pour gasoline on this? How to keep it going? Because you don't want it to fall apart because you start adjusting life and your lead generation tactics and all of these things to this platform. What did you do next?
So, business was taking off, business is doing good. Life is good. We sold our first house that we bought, together, bought a new one. And then 8 months to the day after moving in, we had a house fire, 4:00 in the morning. I hear glass breaking. I think somebody's breaking into my house, some crackheads trying to rip the TV off the wall. I go and grab a gun. That's my first thing. And I go outside and like, nope, it's not a crackhead. It's a fire. There's a fire on our back patio. So I'm trying to put out the fire. My wife's the hero, man. She went, God dang, snatched the kids out of the cribs. She's on the phone with 911. She's like, get out. I was like, I'm coming. And, so we lost everything, but I mean, the first thing that I told her, we got outside, PD showed up first, because we're the first responders,
of course,
fire department, second responders. No. So they'll get it. But I told her, I was like, we're fine. We're safe. It's just stuff.
Yeah.
It's just stuff. But I mean, business didn't stop because my lead generation machine is just going, so I so when was that, in March? I had my VA, I hired a VA in February of that year, and this is March 24th. So I'd only had her for like maybe 7 weeks. I let her know, and I'm like, hey, text her. I'm like, hey, we had a house fire today. I'm going to be kind of unavailable. And she just kept doing what she was doing. She became my editor. She politely said, when are you going to let me start editing your videos? And that was her nice way of saying, your editing sucks. I can do a lot better.
Yeah.
This is what you're paying me for. Please let me do it. So thank you, Grace, for doing that. yeah, so it just, I mean, it kept going, getting busier and busier. And so I had to hire a buyer's agent. And so I had him for a while. And I was just feeding him everything, because when it comes to that, I mean, it's not like I get a lead, from YouTube, and it's not like you got to go and see if they're really wanting to move and this and that. But no, people are reaching out. I get text messages, no kidding, that say, "Hey, we're moving to New Braunfels, or we're wanting to move to New Braunfels. This time we want you to be our agent."
Yeah.
So how often does that happen? With most agents,
Not ever.
if you've got YouTube and stuff like that, whatever, but it's not very often, and it happens all the time. I get the reach outs, I get the phone calls, text messages, emails, whatnot, and people just reaching out saying, "We want you to be our agent. We want you to represent us." And it's just, it's like the magic little pill that I took. But so, I mean, the YouTube creating those videos is still lead generation, because it's like we've talked about it before. It's time on task, creating those videos, coming up with the topics. And I mean, honestly, a lot of those are repeated. I might do one of like cost of living right now, but then I'll do it again in 6 months, or the pros and cons, but I'm going to do it again in 3 months, because something might have changed, or I'm going to deliver the message a little bit different. But yeah, so I mean, it just got busy. And then the fire kind of put us in a different perspective, because it could have gone way south, and looking back, and we walked back in there. The fire took the living room, dining room, and kitchen, just gutted it. But it was smoke damage everywhere else. But had we not had heard it, or, I don't know, the kids' beds, the just covered in smoke, soot and whatnot. And that was just heartbreaking. That's what killed me, and seeing my daughter's name up there in her crib. And it's like, man, because the smoke would have taken everybody had we not heard it. And my wife, we woke up at the same time. So we thought about, like, hey, why don't we do this? Why don't we just go, we get away, we spend more time together, let's go travel. At the time of the fire, the kids were, my son was 2 and my daughter was 5 months. Why don't we just go travel? So we talked about it, like, yeah, let's just go travel. And then we paused. We're like, okay, before we do anything, why don't we go and buy a house first? Because she'd have to leave her job, and then mine's going to decrease by design, because I'm not going to showing houses. I'm not doing listings. I'm like, let's buy a house first. It's going to be easier. Let's do that now. We'll get it furnished, and then we'll go and travel. So that's what we did.
That's awesome.
We did. We bought a new house, and it, it kind of sucked. This is in 2021, had to pay above asking price, no inspection, all kinds of stuff. And, but, we got the new house in 13 months. We got it fully furnished, having to wait on couches, or the right color couch, Megan. Go buy this one. I bought it. I don't like it. All right, cool. But yeah, doing all that, we got it furnished, and then we put it out there. We went on Facebook Live, and we just put it out to the world, because it's like, now we're committed.
Yeah.
And so we did. In beginning of August of 2022, we had our house rented out. We sold our vehicles. She quit her job. We took the kids out of daycare, and we left. And spent 6 months in Southeast Asia, and then 6 months in Europe and the UK. And I maintained my channel while I was gone.
Yeah.
I actually did a better job of maintaining my channel when I was overseas than I have since we've been back. But yeah, we would be in, our little beach village in Hoi An, Vietnam, An Bang Beach. And we've got a big bedroom with lots of natural light. I'm like, man, this is perfect. And I'd go and, bang out 3, 4, 5 videos, and do that, week after week. And so I had plenty of videos to fill up time, because I would only release 1 video a week. So my channel's still running. My VA, Grace, she's doing all the editing. And on top of that, she's editing the travel videos. I started up another YouTube channel called The Traveling Texans. And, so we're just documenting our journey, because when we left, the kids are 1 and 3, so they're not going to remember a whole lot. So I started another YouTube channel to do that. And it's, it's done good. It's monetized, but I mean, yeah, every couple of months I'll, get a notification from Google, and they're like, oh, you got paid. And it might be $150 to $200. But I'm like,
that's cool to take that.
Pays the electric bill.
Yeah,
that's fine
dude,
with me.
who cares?
So yeah, man, we we went and did it. And so, people always ask, like, how are you able to do that financially? Well, we had money. Mm-hmm. We had money saved up for it. And then plus, I do a lot of new construction stuff because we got a lot of new construction around New Braunfels. I mean, it's just booming over there. So I had between new construction and custom home builds and whatnot lined up between then and the end of the year. And then I made sure I went and interviewed and set up some referral partners for different parts of town. And so that's what I did. Any leads that I had come in, I referred them to somebody else. One guy called me. I remember I was in London, and this guy called, and he's a retired police officer, and it was a buddy of mine who's a detective. And I called him up. It's like, hey man, I got a referral for you. He's good to go. And he went and did. Gave some to my sister-in-law. One to a previous agent that I'd worked with that lives in our neighborhood. And yeah, I mean, so I was still making money, 25 to 30%, depending on, how many I was sending that person. But yeah, I just set it up, and it's still a lead generation machine. And I even handled some that were new construction. So this is the cool one. I had helped this couple buy a house. They left California. He was an LA County firefighter. He's ready to retire. They came and bought with me. And then her son and daughter-in-law, daughter and son-in-law, I met them too. And they're like, yeah, we're going to use you whenever we're ready. And they just called me up like, hey man, we went and put a contract on a house, on a new build, and we put your name down on it. I'm like, that's cool. I can handle that from here. That's easy. Ran into some stuff. We ended up getting them a different house, and it, is a lot better for them, a lot better for me too. But I was able to handle a couple of things, remotely overseas, but most of it, I mean, I just referred out, and it's just building those relationships with those other agents that I knew they were going to take care of my clients, and get them to the closing table and get them what they wanted. But
I love one of the things that you talked about in there, and I think there's a couple of ways to attack this, is like, even in the traveling around the world, you were still strategic about how your business was going to run. And so many of us, and I've been guilty of this in my career, and I know so many real estate agents struggle with this, is really just kind of figuring out what to do next. And it's interesting because when we talk about going on vacation, we're normally talking about going on vacation for a week, but you know what you need to do next to get ready for vacation. Right. Not just packing wise, like what you need in your business. Like the day I leave I go to New York 31 days from today. And I can assure you that on day 30, my calendar is going to be strategically cleared for 5 or 6 days, so I can go enjoy that and not have to deal with it. Strategically clearing your calendar essentially for a year takes a lot more practice, and you're not going to stumble into it the same way. Yeah. And you went about that trip essentially the same way you went about your business, right? You identified areas of opportunity for you specifically. And as real estate agents, so many times we want somebody to give us this magic pill. And the unfortunate reality is the way you're going to handle stuff is going to be different the way that I handle it or you handle it, or what my value proposition is, or where my leads come from. And I think what you did, I don't even know if you realize this in there, you had a detective come to you, probably came to you through some sort of law enforcement thing, and you made sure you had somebody who was in that industry that is now a real estate agent handed off to, because you knew that was going to look different than it would if you handed it off to Jeff, who used to be a bartender like myself, right? You know what I mean? So like you knew what type of business would be coming in, you knew where it was coming in from, and you knew the people that it would take in order to facilitate that continuing to run while you were gone. Absolutely. And that's huge.
Yeah. And it wasn't just about me. It's about who was going to handle my clients, who was going to be a best fit for them. So that's why, I set it up with, there's like 3 or 4 different agents, that I let them know. I'm like, hey, I'll likely send you some referrals, and it's just whoever's going to be a best fit for them, because I just didn't want to hand it out to anybody. I didn't keep it just within my brokerage. I had no.
I'm not brokerage agnostic when it comes to that stuff. I'm not brokerage specific when it comes to that stuff at all. You whoever can get it if you're good.
Actually, none of them were within my brokerage. So all the ones I sent out, I knew that they were agents that I could trust, or were going to take care of them.
That still happens to me a lot, especially with the move over to EXP coming about this time last year. I still have so many. I haven't been to a single EXP event really, especially a national one, right? So like all of my connections I still have so many KW connections. I still get referrals frequently, right? I think I got another one we were at lunch a few Wednesdays ago and had an agent call me. That's from the company that I used to work with inside Livian.
Oh, wow.
That referred somebody out. So those relationships are huge, man. Tell me a little bit, because I want to hear, I want to understand the travel part of stuff, dude, because I think this is one of the things that real estate agents would love to do. And it's not just the travel. It's the ability to have some semblance of a life. A lot of us feel like we have no free time. We feel like there's never any free time. We're constantly working. And if we were being honest with ourselves and really doing the practice of tracking what we did every 15 minutes, we'd probably find out that we were working about 2 or 3 hours a day. Right? How were you able to, because admittedly there were some deals in there that you didn't have to spend tons of hours on, right? No. How does one go about, and I'm asking this question really poorly, but how did you go about making sure that you were able to live the life that you wanted to and still have a business to come home to? Because when I saw you leave, I was like, that's really awesome. And what is this dude going to do when he's not going to have any, if I left my business for a year, there would be nobody around when I got back. I'd have to start it all over again. And that sounds terrifying. What did you do to maintain it? And then candidly, what have you had to fix since you got back to get it going again?
I mean, honestly, to maintain it was just maintaining the channel, putting out the videos, following up with people that, I still had under contract. I mean, I remember attending closings, over like Zoom or phone calls, or waiting up until that closing was done. I mean, I'm at my house in northern Bali, that's in the middle of a mango farm at 4 a.m. So, because I knew my clients had that closing, that afternoon, and waiting so I can hear from them, like, hey, how did everything go? Whether we're talking on the phone or we're texting, how did everything go? Oh, everything went good, went smooth, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, awesome. Going to bed now.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's the thing that kills a lot of deals or makes things difficult is lack of communication. Right. So I've got a Wi-Fi signal. I got a cell phone, right? So I can communicate with people anywhere, Zoom call, whatever it's going to be. So, I mean, it was still just communicating with them. I mean, I didn't necessarily have to be there in person. I'm not showing, so I handled a couple of them that were new construction. Like I told you, those folks that called me up, and then it was, can I say the builder?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So it was Lennar.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I wish you had told me that. I wish you had told me that you were going to go look at a Lennar house. I would have told you no.
Yep.
And then the day before closing, they're like, hey, we don't want to buy this house. Well, they sent me I can't remember if they sent me a text. Alex, if you're watching this, let me know. If they sent me a text, they sent me a voicemail, whatever it was. And I got it. I got that voicemail whenever I woke up, or that text message. And I'm like, okay, they don't want to buy this house. I don't blame them. It's Lennar. They suck. So I knew where they were buying. And I had a good friend that worked for Perry Homes at a close neighborhood in that same school district and everything. And I was like, hey man, what do you got around this price? And he told me, he's like, I got this. I'm like, this is what they were going to pay. He's like, all right, this is the best I can do. I'll give them this. We'll give them this rate. Give them this much in closing costs, whatnot. And so I was like, all right, cool. So, I called Alex back, and then I was like, hey man, yeah, I don't blame you. Go and cancel that, walk away, whatever. I found you another house. And he's like, what? I was like, yeah, I found you another house. And I told him, I was like, we can get it at this price. I sent him a link to it because I already had a link to it. Here's the price we can get you. Here's the interest rate we can get you. Here's the closing costs we can get you. And they're going to give you the $1,500 back that you might lose with Lennar.
Yep.
And they're like, wow. So I was like, here you go. Get a hold of this guy. He's going to show it to you.
Yep.
They contracted that day.
One of the things you told when you were telling that story was like just the connections, man. It just always comes back to these relationships. And yes, was that deal specifically hour intensive for you? No. In that deal, no. But was your ability to serve that client? Because dude, could you imagine buying a house you didn't like walking through it every day and being like, I would rather be anywhere other than this house right now. Yeah. Right.
I would have told him, I was like, I'll give you this $1,500 back just so you don't have to buy that house.
Absolutely. That's invaluable to people. And then to go out, not only to say, hey, just terminate, I'll give you the $1,500 back. Also, the fear of being homeless or having to go out and restart this process also isn't that bad because I found you another opportunity through another relationship I have.
And they were in a rental at the time.
Yeah.
They were in a rental. And so
have to go month to month probably.
Yeah. And so here's the thing. You're fixing problems. Somebody's got a problem and we're there to fix it, right? Whether it's like, I've got a problem, I need to downsize, I need a bigger home, I need to move. That's their problem. We're there to help them solve it, help them fix that problem. And so, I mean, that's what I did. I helped them fix that problem. Is we don't want this house. They didn't say, hey, we need to find another one. He never told me that, but he had a problem. I came back with a solution. Before I even contacted him, I found that solution for him. Yeah. And yeah, they paid a little bit more, but I mean, they went from a house that's down here that's shit to top of the line that for just a little bit more.
I love that, dude.
And I mean, that's what we do. We help solve their problems. So it goes back to, so this is how long I've been watching the show. It's episode 31.
Yeah.
With Michael Reese.
Okay.
I've gained so much knowledge from this show alone, from the guests that y'all have on here, from y'all and everything. And if you haven't listened to, where's this camera? If you haven't listened to episode 31, go and listen to it. Michael Reese, man, that guy drops some knowledge. Your two jobs in this field are to make friends and help people, and so that's what I did. I made friends with these people and then I helped them. And okay, sure, no, I didn't put a lot of hours into it. I wasn't even in the same, hemisphere. I'm not in the same country, but I helped them solve their problem, and got paid for it.
I love that.
So, Reese drops some. Yeah, that's my favorite episode.
That whole Honey Badger network, dude. I mean, we've had so many people on this show that are part of that. And for those of you who don't know, it's a network inside EXP. But I'm just saying, and that has nothing to do with anything. Long before I was at EXP, we had these dudes on. But I mean, Kinder and Reese. I mean, we've had so many. Chauncey's been on. Like many people.
Justin
Nelson. Yeah, I mean, they're probably people I don't even realize are a part of it, right? Wayne might be, for all I know. I mean, maybe, I don't know.
I think so.
But it's crazy, and every single one of them have been so willing. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch that Michael Reese episode because I don't remember a ton from it because we've done a couple hundred since then. But I remember those early guests had so much gold, man.
And he was part of that kind of helped me influence me, like starting the YouTube channel also, because one of the things he said, I can't remember who told him this, but it was like the rooftop bar at this hotel and whatnot, but they're sitting there and some guy, leans over to him. And he's like, there's no such thing as money. Money's just paper that we assign value to. If you go out in the world and you're providing value to as many people as you can, then, you'll make money. But yeah, I mean, so that I'm like, because before I was just chasing the next closing.
Yep.
What's the next deal I can write? What's the next closing I can get? And then I took a step away from that. It changed my mindset. I'm like, I just need to provide value. And then about the same time, I hear about the YouTube channel and I'm like, that's all I'm doing. I'm providing value to people that want to move to New Braunfels. They have a problem. They want to leave wherever they're at for whatever reason. It might be in, California because they don't like the political climate or, just whatever's going on over there. They're moving here for some reason, maybe because for a job, whatever. They want to move to New Braunfels. I've provided them a lot of value about what it's like to live, work, and play in New Braunfels. And they're like, yeah, I think we want to go to that place.
Yeah.
Some of them, like, I never met until after they closed on their house because they did it all remotely. I would go and shoot a video of it. I would upload it to a different YouTube channel, let them watch it, because it's like a very thorough, like, video walkthrough of it. And I'm pointing out stuff. I'm like, oh, this tile's cracked over here, whatever it's going to be, right? And send that to them. They can go and view it as many times as they want, whether it's an existing home, a new home, whatever. And then, they'll go and buy a house like sight unseen. Like some of my clients I met and we drove around, we did a little tour thing. But the house they bought, they had never seen it until after they closed.
Yeah.
They signed, and then after closing, we went over there, got the keys, and they saw their house in person for the first time. It's like, oh man, this is awesome.
Informational content kills.
Oh,
like
yeah.
If you're just informing people about things, we get so stuck sometimes in this industry because we see it so much, thinking that it's normal. And we have to remember that most people do this a couple of times in their entire life, and it changes dramatically from time to time. So that informational content, that's what every time I put out good informational content, I find somebody who's like, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I'm going to save this video. I didn't know that before. And I'm like, I kind of thought that was an obvious one, right?
Yeah.
But they're like, it wasn't obvious to me. And I see it happen in my own life all the time, right? Like stuff that other people know. I'm like, I had no idea that existed, right? So
there's a lot of people that go and do the Gary V thing and be the digital mayor, but whoever you're going to be interviewing, like, oh, I'm over here at, Poncho's Mexican Buffet today. And
bro, the fact that you just brought up Poncho's, I've raised the flag so many times. There's one left in Garland. I've Googled this.
Is it open?
It might be.
Dude, I'll stay another day.
We might have to go after this. I have raised the flag many a time.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We had one growing up when I was in Corpus. So we'd go eat there. But what's that getting you? You know, what's saying, oh yeah, okay, this burger's good, these enchiladas are good.
I think
But-
it works as a coupling with a reputation. It's like a billboard or putting your name on the shopping cart at the grocery store.
Right.
Alone, it does nothing.
Yeah.
Right. But if you're already the neighborhood agent, putting stuff on the Tom Thumb can thing makes sense because it's just more people who live in that neighborhood you live in.
Yeah.
If you already, you know, there was an agent I know dominates Flower Mound, right? Like does a ton of business Flower Mound and then started doing videos around Flower Mound business. I bet that was very effective for her, right?
Yeah.
But that informational stuff, one, it's much simpler to set up, right?
Exactly.
It's much easier to edit. When
Yeah.
if you're going to try and interview other people, one, like, I mean, you guys can see it today. We're having a conversation now, but being the person who has to control the conversation in these videos, it's not the most fun thing in the world when you're interviewing somebody because you don't know exactly where to take it and what's going to be good. If you're just doing the informational content, almost factual type of content around the types of things in your town, why people want to move there, and then doing it the way you're doing it, like a real person who's giving your town a 3 and 4 star review, not a 1-star review or a 5-star review. I rarely read those, honestly.
Yeah.
Those are disingenuous.
Yeah,
I want the 3 and 4-star reviews. They're
Yep.
the most honest ones. Like, hey, this place was awesome, but it didn't do this. That is the best thing to do about your town is be like, here's what's really awesome about it. Here's kind of what bites. And you've done it. It seems like you've done a really good job of that.
Yeah. And people want to hear what bites. They want to hear the negative, you know, and whenever they contact me and they say, you know, hey, we want to move to New Braunfels and whatnot, we really appreciate you telling us what you don't like about it.
Yep.
And I don't know. I'm just honest about it. I don't tell them what they want to hear. I tell them what they need to hear.
Yep.
Like I just had a phone call with a guy yesterday, and I'm like, oh, you don't want that. You know, I was like, I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it's basically because YouTube is the second largest search engine next to Google, and Google owns YouTube.
Yeah, so
It's
essentially
also
one
like,
and two.
I think it's like the second biggest social media platform because this social media people interact on it. They comment, hey, we got some comments. So, you know, what are people searching? What do they want to know when they're wanting to move to your town? You know, like cost of living. What are the pros and cons? What's it like living there? That's what they want to know, you know? And so that's the content that I make, and that's the content I put out. And honestly, I mean, I've done a piss poor job of maintaining my channel since we've been back. We had like some, you know, oh, we're going to live here, we're going to live there. And then we finally moved back into our house, you know, once the renters were out, but we had some other plans. We're like, nah, let's just move back into the house. So I haven't done a great job maintaining it, but man, I still get reach outs from it, you know, all the time.
It's evergreen in a sense.
Yeah.
It's evergreen in a sense.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's just like when I see folks that are doing, and then it's not wrong or anything, but you know, I see what's right and what works for me, and see people doing, you know, YouTube or videos on Facebook, and I'm like, that's only going to last for so long. It's going to be here today, tomorrow, and then it's gone.
Yep. And they'll spend so much time on it. And it's like every other platform, in my opinion, other than YouTube, is just shoot it and go. Mm-hmm. Shoot it and go, because it's going to get, like you said, it's going to get buried by all the other content. They're not designed to show you that stuff. Nobody really searches on them, right? Yeah. Like it's not you go in there and be like, I searched for maybe something I just heard,
right?
Like, oh, so and so died. Like, oh man, I got to go like search and is that really true? And then you see TMZ did it, and you're like, oh yeah, they really did. Whatever. Yeah. I think the reason it works, even though you've fallen off on the content, one, I love that vulnerability because it shows people like nobody's maintaining this stuff at 100% clip 100% of the time, right? We have ideas, but as entrepreneurs, we have ideas, and then we have other ideas, and then we move on to other things, and then we get back to other things. So like we beat ourselves up over that, right? We beat ourselves up over not completing something or doing something too late or whatever. And it's like, dude, it's everything's happening when it's supposed to be happening. That's a huge part of it. And I think what you've done that's really good, and Katie even mentions it in the comments, is like money changes hands when problems are solved. And through relationships, you're going to solve more problems.
Oh, absolutely.
The more people I know that know about shit I don't know about, that's people I can go to find out those things and then come back and solve someone else's problem.
Yeah.
And so it all starts with networking and connections. And if you can do that, your YouTube channel can fall off. Your referral business can fall off. Your door knocking can fall off, right? You can do those types of things, but if you can consistently get back into a flow and follow up with people, you can re-find that space. And if you're not doing it at all, you can do it for the first time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's why I keep my relationships with like the title company that I work with and my lender, because they make it as painless as possible. They do such a great job time after time after time. And it's those relationships with them that, you know, keep me going with them. It's like, especially my lender, Wes. I mean, I used to do videos with him, and they just didn't perform as well, so we don't do them anymore. It's not because, oh, Wes, I don't like your content. But I mean, that guy follows through every single time. I mean, it's just on the highest level. And he was my lender whenever we bought our house after our fire, and just amazing.
Getting a team together is huge. We're getting ready to wrap it up, man. But I want to know, and I'm going to force you to pick one. Out of all the places you went on your year-long hiatus,
Thailand. Or I'm sorry, Vietnam.
Really?
Yeah. People always ask it, what was your favorite?
I believe it.
Man, it was Vietnam. So if you go and look up On Bong Beach, Vietnam, it's just outside of Hoi An. My wife and I both said it. If we were to move anywhere, it'd be right there. And on that little street that we were on, people are just so nice. They're so kind. It's laid back. It's cheap, for us.
Yeah.
I did a video of like eating for $10 a day in Vietnam. I ate for $10 a day, right? I love food. I can go get a banh mi, and if you don't want it with an egg, it's 80 cents. If you want a fried egg on it, it's $1.20.
Nice.
Got places over here charging like $9-10. But yeah, Vietnam was our favorite.
I love it,
hands down. But the people are nice. I mean, it's beautiful. We were right on the beach, great beach. The food's good. It's fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just amazing there. That's why we spent a month there, and we went to Malaysia, and we came back to Vietnam, to actually the same house that we just stayed in.
What was the biggest challenge about just traveling? Just traveling?
I said I had 2 kids.
I was going to say with the kids, but I didn't want to be a leading question. Yeah.
So they were 1 and 3 when we left, but it wasn't. We had our rough spots,
of course.
Just like anything. I mean, travel days were kind of tough, but we bought iPads for them, but they were the treat. They got those only on travel days. Mm-hmm. And they know they had to make good choices to get those on travel days. That, and then, being away from your family and friends, for a year wasn't the easiest. So, it was nice to be back and see them and everything. But man, I wasn't back very long when I'm like, I'm ready to go again.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go again. And that's why, I kind of picked up on the coaching stuff, because I can coach you from anywhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what time zone I'm in.
I'm not in the place I'll be forever. I've got about another decade here, and then I'm on the road, dude.
Yeah. That's awesome.
There's no way. Yeah. Well, dude, I freaking love this.
Yeah.
I'm glad we finally got. If you guys don't know, you can have amazing relationships with people, do business with them, have friendships and everything, and never meet them in person, because this dude and I just met each other for the first time in person today, which is the weirdest thing because we've been friends forever. But I appreciate you, dude.
Yeah, man. I appreciate y'all having me.
Cool. Well, that wasn't a total train wreck. That's fantastic. We'll end it up with mortgagemike.com. Don't forget, for all your lending needs in Texas and Oklahoma, mmgloans.com. Michael DeBacker, stamp of approval. Super awesome dude. Go Longhorns. Theron Smith, Armadillo Home Warranty.
You get that hard shell protection.
Get the hard shell protection coming from the originator. He picked that up so good. Theron's an awesome guy. Go check out his Facebook page if you want to see him wear fanny packs and play live music. Dana Wynn, who is a bit under the weather today, but Homeward Property Management, killing it, 400 doors under management. Honestly, one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of is watching this grow. It was the most unexpected thing we ever accidentally did, but Homeward Property Management is amazing. So reach out to them, whether you're a landlord or an agent looking to help out your clients. And if you're an agent or really anybody who wants to create awesome video content, Jesse Showalter at tourstudios.com. We should have some swag coming soon because my Shopify store is up and running. And so I'm going to start cranking out some t-shirts. So you might see me wearing those a little bit more. But tourstudios.com, putting together video for tons of awesome agents all over the DFW, in person or remotely. Thanks again, dude.
Oh, thanks for having me.
I super appreciate
awesome.
it. Yeah, man, it's been really awesome. Jesse, since I am me and I have to say this, even though I'm hosting, why don't you go ahead and get us straight up on out of here, bro? Thanks for watching the show today. Make sure if you're watching this on Facebook, you head over to our group, the only real estate group worth being a part of, so you can watch the extended conversation. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And if you listen on the Apple Podcast, leave us a review. We'd really like it. So just do it. Do it. Do that over there. Go to this one. Then go to that one. Thanks.